get out of here. So it's really fascinating today. Hey, what's up? You just never know what's gonna happen on these videos. So right now I am in the Lakeshore Foundation, in which case they host the practicing for the Paralympics and all kind of other things. They have this full-size pool, and I found out this is actually an Olympic-sized basketball court. And the amazing people that play here, some of the people with disabilities, they see all these different bikes and trikes and things like this. And I think that these people are the real stars because they're able to go up and down this court shooting baskets, and like, it's just, I'm just always amazed at the skill that people have when you have persistence and dedication and you don't let anything stop you. The other interesting thing about this court is that we're doing this video right now for the Birmingham Squadron. And so the squadron is starting to practice here. And what I didn't know is that the squadron actually, hey, how you doing? This is a really cool pool. What I didn't know is the squadron practices here and they're able to get prepared for even the NBA. Look at this pool. This is so fantastic. You never knew any of this was here. But they're practicing for the NBA, and the squadron is part of the NBA G League, and they're connected to the New Orleans Pelicans. So people that play with the Birmingham Squadron have an opportunity to be able to go and play in the NBA. So all of these crazy things are happening in Birmingham that you would never even think. And so today I'm going to couple that with the work looks different, right? Because earlier in my career, the things that I would used to do, they seemed more simple. How do I get to my gig? You know, as a DJ starting off, you know, my main concern was taking my 2 speakers in and that's it, putting together my playlist. But now we got trucks, trailers, you've got employees, different levels of clients, they have expectations. And so the work looks different. The thing is, people think that as you get more and more successful, it gets easier. But it's not that it gets easier, the scale changes, the scope changes, the expectation changes. And so the things that you used to be able to get by, that doesn't really cut it. And as you go to different levels, you realize that the tools that you have to maintain are different as well. So for example, like we talked about a week ago, I was over there in Destin, Florida, and the bags on the truck went out. So the bag, that was about $300. Plus, just for the guy to fix it was $250. So $600 is gone, just like that. But you have to do it because you need a truck to carry the equipment where you're going. So the work is different because the truck is bigger, things are more expensive. So you gotta be able to also charge appropriately. And people ask me all the time, it's like, well, how do you know how much to charge? Well, first, market research. You need to look and see who is doing what you're doing and be able to compare, all right, what's their cost? That's an important word right there, cost. What's the cost? Because you got to say, what is my cost of doing business? I got fuel, I got maintenance, plus my time, how much I had to spend on the equipment and gear that I have. You know, all of these things, I got to feed myself. You know, all of these things play into the whole equation of cost. And so, once again, the work looks different now. Whereas before, my main cost was just hopping in my car and driving. Now I have to also add in, how much do I have to pay the employees for their time, for them to get from A to B? All of these things are numbers, regardless if you want to pay attention to them or not, that's going to add to your sustainability. Because you may have been able to do something one time, but can you do it 10? Can you do it 20? So the work is still there, but now you have to expand your mind into thinking about it on a larger scale. I remember we were doing the Davenport Harris show that was recently over in Ross Bridge. And the interesting thing about that, I was talking to one of the ladies there, and I said, we're doing this at the highest level. It's just the difference is scale. And so what I mean by that is everything that you're doing has a foundational piece, right? It has a foundational structure. So in this situation, we had the LED wall, we had camera, we have audio, we've got lighting, we've got graphics. Okay, that's the base, right? As you get to larger shows, you just have more cameras, more video, more lighting, more sound. So this makes me think about, if you're faithful over the little, you can scale into much. And so I want you all to be thinking about, am I being the most efficient with what I have right now? Am I being the most effective with what I'm doing right now? Because beyond what you're doing is scale. More trucks, more trailers, which also equates to more maintenance, more tires, more batteries, all of these different things. Is your pricing structure set up in a position to where you can scale? I've talked to a lot of people as they've asked me about business, and they'll go in and say, okay, here's my question for you. Where do you think the holes are inside of my company? And for most entrepreneurs, the problem is you are the center of your business. And so when you're the center of your business, what happens if you get sick? Your business stops. And if you cause the business to shut down because you get sick, now you've created a situation that's impossible for you to maintain, because you're going to stress yourself out. You can't take any off days. You don't have anybody to replace you. And so that inherently creates a scaling problem, because you can't duplicate yourself. You can't go, as of right now, based on the technology, you can't go clone yourself. So you have to think about this and say, okay, how can I bring in somebody else or different people in order to be able to do what I'm doing? That's a different thought. That's a different mind state. That's creating a different solution. And so as we start, we're so excited about being able to say, nobody can do what I do. And on the surface, that sounds good. But you've got to be able to put systems in place that enable you to be able to say, I've got people that can do what I do, and they're loyal to my company. That goes to a whole different equation right there, because now you're thinking about creating teams. In which case, if you're so used to working by yourself, you're not used to dealing with people. And in order for you to be able to go to the next level, you've got to be able to deal with people. You've got to be able to cultivate teams. You've got to be able to manage emotions. You got to be able to manage, personalities. And if you have a growth mind state and a scale mind state, you can't just throw everybody away. And in our society nowadays, we're so quick to just jump straight to, you don't need this, you don't need that, get rid of it. And I would challenge you to say, really take a look at where you're going to really analyze if it's something you need or not. Because also, based on my last video, we talked about survival mode. And survival mode locks you into right now. It locks every decision into surviving this next moment. And it's really difficult to look at the future when you're constantly looking at what's right in front of you. And your decisions, when you have a legacy mindset, are very different than decisions when you have a right now mind state. Goes back to the work looks different. If I'm looking at the future, my decisions are going to be very different than if I'm only trying to get through today. So I'm encouraging you all to be able to change the way you think about how you're approaching the work. Because let's just say right now, you're going through some adversities. And sometimes the adversity is so tough, it makes you want to quit. But if you're looking at it from a legacy mind state, everything changes. Troubles don't last, just like it doesn't rain all the way. I mean, when I say all the way, rain eventually stops. So you got to be able to think about this and say, okay, rain's going to come, but it's going to stop. While it's raining, what am I going to do? Am I going to cry about it? Or am I going to conserve some of this rain for the time when there's no rain? And because I know the time is coming that there's no rain, I'm going to get a bucket and I'm going to store it. Because I know these people aren't thinking about that. So now, when the rain stops, I've got more than enough, and I can sell some of this rain to some of these people that weren't prepared. So the work looks different. I'm not preparing just for myself, but I'm preparing for other people. And if you're in business, you got to think about the holes. My work now looks at, where are the holes? Where are the holes? Okay, I see in the AV world, there's not a real company that provides LED walls like this. Let me provide that hole. Okay, I see there's not any real fitness stuff that takes you on the whole journey. Hey, Kevin Key. Ooh, let's walk over here. Let's look at this. This looks pretty interesting. There's not any of that stuff. Provide the fix for the hole. And so my work is about sustainability now. It's more than just thinking about my day-to-day. Let's look over here. I feel like Bob Ross. Look at this meadow. Isn't this cool? And my mind has shifted to tomorrow. What's going on tomorrow? What's going on next week? What's going on next year? Where are the holes? The work looks different. Here's another one. This is pretty cool. The work looks different. It's not just about me. It's about my future and where I'm going to end up next year, the year after that. The work looks like, what decisions do I want to be accessible to me in the future? The work looks different. So now, with me having a growth mind state, there are certain things that I'm willing to deal with that if I had a survival mind state, I would think it's too much and not worth it. So what mind state do you have? Growth, future, survival, now. This is yours truly, Kevin Key. Thanks for walking with me. Hope you all are feeling healthy. Get out there, get out in the air, get a breath of fresh air, and enjoy the outside. Once again, this Kev 360. Hey y'all. And I hope you all have a great and wonderful day. The work looks different. What are you working on? See you next time.